Hello and welcome back to A Method to the Madness, Breaking Bad edition. I'm your host Patrick. Joining me is Mitchie.
Hello.
And today we're talking about Breaking Bad Season 4, Episode 6, titled Cornered. This has the iconic scene where Walter says the iconic line, "I am the danger."
I know, that must be like literally the most famous scene from Breaking Bad.
I always really didn't I thought it was a pretty cool speech, but it wasn't until this time that I really start to appreciate like this scene. It's really good.
Yeah.
Alright, let's go into a plot summary.
Alright. Another Los Polios Hermanos truck is raided by the cartel. This time the two guards in the truck are killed and the cartel members find the tubs with blue meth in them. Skyler is worried about Walt, suspecting he is in danger due to the death of Gale. When suggesting this, Walt reacts saying he is the danger, prompting Skyler to flee the house and ponders escaping to Colorado, but ultimately reconsiders. I really like how this episode literally starts with the exact same scene, like exact same shot of the cold breath as the one from 2 episodes ago, season 4, episode 4. And I thought I had turned on the wrong episode.
Yeah, it's a good... Lucky Mike wasn't in here. Maybe he knew after that incident, he was like, this is going to happen again, so I'm just going to send some fucking lackeys to take the bullet for me.
Or he would have just sorted it. That was him. Somehow he would have escaped.
But yeah, I like how the cartel sort of learned from their mistakes.
Yeah.
And then they find just one of the buckets has a star with like a black light on it.
Yeah.
So I feel like this would be a really inefficient operation. There's only one thing per truck of meth in it.
Yeah, but I guess, I mean, if it's a big fast food chain, there must be so many deliveries, right, of chicken everywhere.
Yeah, true. I don't know.
It does seem a little inefficient. It also seems inefficient to steal that too, but by the end, it's just as a message. So
yeah. All right, and then Skyler questions why Walt said the thing he did last night to Hank when he was drunk, and then I really like this how she concludes that Walt was fearing for his safety and his life.
Yeah,
and she probably thinks that Heisenberg isn't Walt as well. She probably, judging from what she says, she probably thinks that Gus is Heisenberg.
Yep.
And then that's what Walt was talking about when he said he's still out there. He wasn't referring to himself. She thinks he was referring to his boss.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, like suddenly the scene makes a lot more sense to me when he says, "I the iconic line, 'I am the danger.'"
Yeah. Yeah, because I think it's signaling to her that he's the one that killed Gale, because that's how the conversation starts. He's like, "Oh, who did kill Gale? Could they do the same thing to you?" And then by the end, when he says that he's a danger, it kind of means that, okay, he must have been the one involved with Gale's death, and that's why she's so scared, because it sounds like her husband's become almost a murderer, or truly a criminal.
Yeah, Skyler doesn't really fully grasp, how much Walt has changed, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, this is, I think, probably in the series, this is like the biggest turning point of their relationship, I'd say.
Yep.
Because it's not through no fault of her own. Like, Walt just doesn't tell her shit.
Yeah.
He's still trying to lie as soon as he gets up. She's like, "Why did you say those things?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't know."
But he did say he's trying to adopt the church and the state, where you keep the ideas separate and you do things separately, but you're working together, but like compartmentalize what you know and what your job is, and kind of makes sense. He doesn't want her to hear about all the nasty things that he's been doing.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Like, it's a bit weird because while Walt he goes to such lengths to, as you said, keep that information from Skyler, but he feels the need to let her know just how much of how evil he's become.
Yeah.
In essence, and I mean, Skyler's right to just be as freaked out as she is. Like, that's such a to come from your own husband to that kind of reveal must be just such a shock.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thinking that he's a nice dude his whole life, and
Yeah,
you don't want to find out anyone that has become a murderer or a criminal. Alright, continuing. Walter receives the keys to the car wash from Bogdan and avenges his past insults by making Bogdan leave behind his framed first earned dollar, which Walt uses to buy a soda. Later, Walt gives in to Walter Jr.'s pleas for a new car and buys him a Dodge Challenger. Jesse and Mike scout a house selling the blue meth from the hijacked truck, but Jesse grows impatient and tricks one of the meth users into letting him into the house, where he knocks out the other. Mike notices the words, "Are you ready to talk?" written in Spanish on the stolen container. Gus then meets with Mike at a diner that night and decides to try and negotiate with the cartel. Outside the diner, Jesse asks Gus, "Why me?" in reference to him being asked to help Mike during the previous several days. Gus responds by saying, "I like to think I see things in people." All right.
Okay. So I was listening back to, I think, our season 4 episode 3 one, and we were talking about, you know, does Bogdan deserve what happens to him?
Yeah.
Because, you know, I and after this episode, I remain firm in my opinion that he is a right cunt. But
A cunt, though, to this point where you're literally getting scammed on your whole business.
well, okay, so here's the thing, right? Yeah, like, I think it is a bit unfair. Okay, first of all, is it suggested that they fabricated the pH results in the water?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so Bogdan actually was sort of, you know, doing stuff legally.
Yeah, he was doing the right
Yeah.
thing.
Okay, in which case, yeah, that is a bit unfair. I agree with that. Like, you know, he probably doesn't deserve that.
No.
But, you know, he doesn't know that Skyler and Walt set him up like that. But he's still he's still a huge fucking cunt to Walter, which is why I sort of, you know...
Yeah, because he's being salty because, well, I mean, the whole relationship is being really sour and dodgy. But, like, it's not like, is Bogdan seriously any worse than Walt and Skyler at the end of the day? Like,
yeah,
they're still quite rude. And Walt took that $1 and bought a soda with it. That's fucking savage. Like,
that was savage.
yeah, like it was good. And it almost seemed like he deserved that. But the whole scamming thing, I don't know. That's a bit sad.
I mean, you know, I'm literally over here like, oh yeah, he's such a rude person while Walt is out here murdering people.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
You know,
and you
like,
still hate Bogdan more.
Yeah. You know, just keep that in mind. Like, obviously, I can understand the degree in which, you know, people like Walt operate and then people like Bogdan operate. But yeah, I don't know. This show does a good job of us being on Walt's side, so...
Yeah, TV's pretty... Anyway. Good TV can do that.
Yeah, and I just... Dude, his line where he's talking to Walt about, oh, you have to be tough when you're a boss, and then you have to work hard, and then Walt goes, "You've seen me work hard," and he goes, maybe not so much. And then he says, "If you can't be tough, you can always call your wife." He's like, dude, he's such a fucking petty,
sexist,
little nasty man. Yeah.
It's not nice. Like, I must admit, like, I want him to be a little bit nicer, so I do feel more sorry for him. He does, but I don't know. Like I said before in episode 3, like, it just really highlights the whole, like, pettiness between all of them, really, sort of.
Yeah.
Like, the reason why Skyler had to buy this specific car wash or Walt had to buy this specific car wash was because of Bogdan insulting them, when really they should be picking the car wash based on more, like, pragmatic reasons, right? Especially since they need to cover their story. But no, they had to get this car wash. So,
yeah,
you know, they're pretty petty too.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and then we get Mike and Jesse at the diner, and I like
this scene is so good.
Yeah, like, Mike's paternal instincts are kicking in a bit. Like, he's starting to feel responsible for Jesse and his well-being, because, like, he sees Jesse shaking from what do you call it? Not relapsing. What's the
withdrawal?
Word? Withdrawal. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he tells him to eat some shit, and he gives him his food.
Yeah, that's how you're meant to actually treat a meth addict.
Yeah.
You know, people just, like, shit on them, and they just treat them like shit. Like, why are you addicted and stuff? But it's like, well, this is how you actually do it. You know, you got to be nice to them and give them food and help them out.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not gonna say anything, but this is a lot more meaningful when you watch Better Call Saul. That's all I'm gonna say.
Which bit?
All right. Mike being like a father to Jesse.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't tell me.
Yeah. And then Walter Jr. is talking with Walt at breakfast about why Skyler left, and I really like Walter Jr.'s function in this show is, like, really interesting in terms of what he brings out of Walter.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we always talk about, like, what a hypocrite he is.
Yeah.
And his lack of self-awareness at times. But then there's times like this where Walter Jr.'s like, no, you know, you can't help it. It's not your fault. And then suddenly, when Walt's, you know, explaining this to his kid, he suddenly has this, you know, self-awareness of like, no, like, you know, this is because of my decisions.
Yeah.
I'm fully in control of what I'm doing. Yeah, and I don't know, I kind of like that about his relationship with his son. It's still very wholesome and like
Genuine.
he still wants the best for him. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and he's also defending his own wife too, because he realizes that he is ultimately the bad one here.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's as if like his son really does bring out the best in Walter.
Mm.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then Walt and Jesse talking about yeah, Walt and Jesse are talking about how, you know, where Jesse's been, and then they're talking about the robbery setup. And Walt, he goes, this whole thing, it's been about me this whole time.
Yeah.
And Jesse's reaction is just like, you know, it's what you've come to expect. Like, he's just had a growing resentment for Walt and his self-righteousness and his
But he's
ego,
just used
and
to it though. He just like
Yeah.
rolls his eyes and walks off. He's like, yeah, whatever. Like, I'm, you know,
Yeah.
just the usual.
I mean, he is right, but it's still funny.
Yeah.
And then Walt's and then Jesse has to go somewhere, and then Walt gets those Mexican ladies to clean up the meth lab, and he's trying his best at his Spanish, which makes me wonder, like, is especially in like Albuquerque, is Spanish the main secondary language that teach at American schools? Because, you know, like in
100%.
Cairns, where there's a large Japanese population, you know, we learnt Japanese in primary school and shit like that. And then it wasn't until like high school that we got electives where we could choose to learn other languages.
Yeah,
But,
in Australia, in America, I'm pretty sure they all like learned some basic Spanish, or
Yeah.
they try to push it in school.
Yeah, that's cool. It's interesting.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking about learning Spanish maybe one day. I think it's a cool language.
Yeah. Just
Um,
crack up Duolingo, mate.
Yeah, mate, your German's getting pretty proficient, isn't it?
Yeah, 520-day streak, I think.
Damn,
Although I
boy.
do other things too. It's not just
Yeah.
Duolingo. The digging. What do you
oh,
reckon
yeah.
it means? It seems somewhat meaningful, but I don't know how. But like, it's like, it's just like, it's almost like Jesse's gone through something before, and he knows what it's like to be a meth head that Mike has no idea about. And he's just like, you know, so calm and collected when he's like, this dude, the meth head comes out and he's digging the hole, and how he responds in that is like perfectly neutral, not to antagonize him. And, but it's almost like he knew, like, there is something when you dig down, you know, we're all looking for something there, and Jesse's been there, he's done that, and you're just never going to find it. But he knows that he can trick this meth head into, you know, to keep on digging because he's done it before. And it's kind of like, why? Like, why do they dig? You know, is it actually a thing? If it is a thing, why do they dig?
Well, I don't know. I would assume, since I don't have any meth heads to ask, I would assume Vince Gilligan sort of like maybe did some homework. Maybe he knew some people that were
Well,
Sorry.
I knew, so one of our friends, Pat, which I'm not going to name, but his girlfriend, apparently she went on like a drug bender one night, but it sounded like it was a lot more like LSD and stuff. And
Yeah.
she had this weird feeling where she had to keep digging into the ground, and apparently they dug with their bare hands quite deep, like very deep with their bare hands in the middle of the night, and just kept digging because they needed to find something down there. And
Okay,
it's just this,
interesting.
seeing this episode just reminded me exactly of our friend's story about his girlfriend. I just thought, okay, this is interesting. Like, is it a thing, you know?
I mean, I feel like digging in general is just kind of interesting. Like, sometimes, like, I don't know, when you're like camping and shit, if you have a shovel, I'll have a dig. You know what I mean? Like,
It's somewhat
feel like there is-
therapeutic.
yeah, like
Yeah.
I don't know, just seeing how far you can dig into the ground is kind of fun. Yeah, without drugs even.
Yeah, it's almost like I don't know.
But, you know,
it was really interesting.
You know how like meth supposedly makes stuff very interesting. Like, you know, there's that episode where Skinny Pete is like just playing with alfoil or some shit.
Yeah.
On meth. And,
Yeah.
yeah, and then I liked how the drugged up dude inside the house looks like a methed up Michael Rooker.
Yeah.
You know, that actor.
Yeah. He does too. Dude, that guy was good. Like, he was
Yeah.
fucking getting me on edge watching it. Just the way he was holding the shotgun and moving it around, it was like really good acting.
Yeah, it was. Obviously, Gus saying, "Oh, I think he thinks he sees things in people." He's obviously manipulating Jesse.
100%.
Yeah,
He doesn't give a fuck about him.
Yeah, no. That gets explored in the later episodes. And then just one more thing. I like Flynn's line of when Skyler comes home and he's like, "Did you see the car?" And he goes, "I know it looks awesome, but it's safe." Like he can't find the right word, so he just goes, I know it looks awesome," which is great.
Yeah.
And then, that's all I have for this episode.
This is a really good episode.
It is.
Like, even though nothing momentous happens, it's just really good to watch, really fun, and everything's necessary too.
Yeah.
As usual.
All right. Well, thank you for listening, and join us next episode.
See ya.
Do you know how much I make a year? I mean, even if I told you, you wouldn't believe it. Do you know what would happen if I suddenly decided to stop going into work? A business big enough that it could be listed on the NASDAQ goes belly up. Disappears. It ceases to exist without me. No, you clearly don't know who you're talking to, so let me clue you in. I am not in danger, Skyler. I am the danger. A guy opens his door and gets shot, and you think that of me? No. I am the one who knocks.
If you like this series, Mitch is going to tell you where you can find more of these.
Yep, so you can find us on Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. And we've also got a website, amttm.com, where you can find our fabulous episodes on Breaking Bad.
If you have any questions, queries, insights, or criticism, you can send them to mail@amttm.com.
And as always, thank you for listening.